It's live.
All right. Second one I did with Keaton was can't remember. Let's get some intro going. Live. The year ahead. That is the topic. The year ahead.
The year ahead.
The year ahead of us. The year 2022.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year as well. Cheers.
Cheers.
2022. People say it all the time, but it seems like 2021 did not happen. It's like a cliche. 2020 seems like we fast forwarded from February 2020 to January of 2022, and it feels like now we're here.
Here we are.
I feel like 2021 happened. 2020 was non-existent.
Yeah.
I can only pinpoint like two things out of the entire year that happened.
Of 2020?
Yeah.
How would you describe 2020 or 2021? If you were try to step back and imagine you are now a 65-year-old man and you're looking back and describing this past year to your grandkids. You're kind of just objectively looking at it. How would you describe 2021?
Collective anxiety and fear swept most people. I think there was just a lot of, and I even felt it. I tried, I try not to get too wrapped up in things like that, but I think even some of that collective anxiety and fear kind of got into my consciousness and threw me off in different ways.
Collective fear, collective anxiety.
A dive into chaos.
You think we dove into chaos in 2021?
I think we're headed into chaos.
Right now?
I think we've stepped into chaos.
Man, there's somebody that I haven't really listened to or read anything, but I've stumbled upon recently, Ray Dalio. You know who I'm referring to?
He wrote, there's one book. It's on the tip of my tongue.
He's a financial guy.
Did he write Principles by Ray Dalio?
That sounds right.
Is he a financial guy? Advisor? Or am I thinking of somebody else?
Yeah, he's kind of along those lines. He is, I would describe him as somebody he's like an investor. So weird to think about what an investor is as well. So he's an investor in the sense of international investor, meaning he runs like a hedge fund. Mm-hmm. And so he himself is billionaire, multi-billionaire, but a lot of people hedge their money together and put it in a fund. And then his role is being in charge of that fund and investing. So he goes all over. He was talking about how he's invested in like 43 countries. So his head, so it's pretty crazy because you can invest in many different forms if you're international. You can invest in like a third world country, and long term that could be a massive, massive investment.
Yeah.
But I bring him up because he said something pretty interesting. He was talking about like the cycle that we're in, and people. There's two things happening right now. There's like a war happening right now. There's a collective war. Literally, it's very clear. Opposition. Two sides against each other.
Yes.
And he was talking about how they are fueling that fire. And this cycle is very clear. You know this cycle. But a country is made up of people who it's dynamic, meaning it's changing. So generations pass. And we've now reached a point where past generations experienced war, so current generation has never experienced war, so they don't know what that's all about. And he was talking about how now people are pushing war forward right now because they don't know what it's about. They don't know that it's actually bloodshed, it's actually hell, and it's actually like the worst thing you could possibly experience. So collective fear, what are people afraid of right now?
I think the main ones, obviously, COVID. They've hyped the COVID fear up to the maximum, just about. Fear of death, fear of dying, fear of being outcasted if you don't go along with a certain narrative, fear of, I don't know, fear of standing up
Yeah, fear
for your own beliefs.
of saying what's true.
Fear of saying what's true. Fear of saying what's true. Those are two different sides. Those, what you just described, I would say, are the two different sides.
Mhm.
There's one side where they're afraid of COVID, and they're afraid of getting sick, and they're afraid of these physical things happening to them. And there's another side who maybe they've got beliefs that are different from what is going around in the culture right now, and so they are afraid of being silenced.
I think both sides might be afraid of the truth, really. I mean, if you think about somebody that's completely bought into the COVID narrative and the COVID fear, and that, you know, gets all their shots, things like that, they see all the same news that, oh, look, the vaccines aren't really doing what they were supposed to do. Oh shit, maybe I should just go get another one. Get another one. Is that right?
For sure, yes.
Is that right?
That's a good way to put it.
Like,
is that right?
Can
is that right?
Can you tell me that's not true?
That's
and
what
just
I'm supposed to do, right?
Yeah, and just let me live in this, you know, false reality, or just let me live in this reality where you tell me what to do and I do it, and all of my problems are solved. And by the way, if it doesn't go the way that I want it to, then it's their fault.
Yeah.
It's not my fault.
What do you mean they? Like the government, or whose fault?
The other team.
The other team fault. It's they haven't taken enough vaccines. They haven't worn their masks well enough. They've only been social distancing 3 feet.
I will say, I mean, the thing about politicians is they do hit it. They say enough lines and they give enough speeches that sometimes they hit it on the head. And I don't know where Joe Biden gave this speech, but Joe Biden gave a speech, and there was one quote in there that he said that you can't love your country only when you win. You can't love your country only when you win. So he's obviously referring to Donald Trump, but that is very true. It's actually a very true statement. You can't love, and it doesn't have to be your country, it can be anything. You can't love your family only when they're doing well for you. You can't love your company only when you're making a bunch of money.
Mm-hmm.
You can't XYZ only when it's in your best interest. So I don't know. I say that because probably the best solution to everything happening right now would honestly be some sort of unity, some sort of unity, some way.
I think it involves a clean slate. I think it involves a whole new cast of characters to come in and say, all right, you know what? We've done these things, whether they were right or wrong. We're going to put that behind us and take a whole new approach, take a whole different approach. Everybody, you know, let's not be in fear. Let's go forward and do different things. You know what I mean?
Different things, like collectively do different things, or individually do different things.
Probably starting individually. Like I said, we kind of talked about this last time too, like the whole, you know, El Salvador just put out a public health announcement for people to get sunlight and to exercise and get fresh air and to avoid a bad diet and things like that. Something like that we've never seen ever in our country.
What do you mean, like asking you to live healthy?
Yeah, for the purpose of having a easier course of COVID-19. They said, live a healthier lifestyle, do all these things, and you'll have an easier time with COVID if you do get it.
I can't fully comprehend what is happening, and like in everything that is happening right now, there's going to be some good and some bad that you can bring from it. And it's interesting to think about actually being 65 years old, fast forward like 40 years from now, and talking to your grandkids. What do you think what would be pulled away from here? Like what good and bad do you think will come of this whole cycle that we're in right now? This past year and a half could last 5 more years, could last another year, could last 20 more years, could go on forever, could die and have a complete different evolution as a result. What do you think will occur? What do you think this will come about when we look back at this in 40 years from now?
2022 or 2021? Or just this time in general?
So, to elaborate, it's very clear that there's a lot of weird restrictions that have been put in place right now, and maybe it'll last or maybe it'll be temporary. But it's also, I myself am the type of person who I want a lot of freedom for myself. I want individual freedom. If I would talk about like how I am politically, that is what I want. I don't want the government to be my life. I want individual freedom, and I believe in the individual and the individual being sovereign and doing things that is in their best interest and bettering the society as a consequence and operating in a free market and things like that. So I believe in freedom more than anything else, but I say that because of this, you're kind of seeing that collective purpose is necessary as well. And I think it would be good if we did have a collective purpose. And I think one thing that this has brought about is we are, in theory, trying to collectively win this weird battle against this invisible enemy. And whether it's this sort of situation, or it's not crazy to think that there could be an asteroid zipping into our galaxy and aiming at Earth, and we have to collectively band together, countries band with other countries to protect the whole Earth. And that sort of situation, that's what people like, that because now you're really a part of a team with a greater good. And so that's the one thing that this has brought about. And I think going forward into the future, I think our society will be more like that. I think that's how China is right now. I think they're collective, and I think they are, or at least trying to develop a collective purpose of this great society. And I think we will go more in that direction as well.
Yeah, well, they have the purpose of just being the dominant world power in general. I think that's their collective purpose, and they've instilled it at every level, from education, from very, very young. That's what they talk about. That's what they teach, and all the way up through their military.
Did you listen to the Robert Malone podcast?
I did not.
Towards the end, he talks about mass formation psychosis, and it's very similar in a sense of people can basically become brainwashed when there's one enemy, and an authoritarian group of people are able to tell them that that's the enemy. You know what I mean?
Do you why does China want to be the number one power? Why do they want to be the world power?
I have no idea.
What would be do you ever think about this. We're in America right now. I get great joy out of this idea of, think about literally where we're at. We are in Indianapolis, Indiana, the center of America. America has above it Canada, below it Mexico. So borders are pretty safe, and oceans on the other side of it. So they're pretty safe. Not every country is like that. Like, not countries can get invaded. Like, they've pretty much always got invaded forever. So, and China has got invaded. They were 1849 to 1949 was 100 years of great humiliation, because they had the opiate war. They had the opiate wars. They had Japan.
China?
Yeah, China. It was 100 years of the great humiliation.
The rape of Nanking by Japan.
Damn near didn't even want to say it.
Yeah.
So you part of the joy of being a world power is, one, having perspective and being like, dang, I used to be in that spot. I used to be in the spot where it's like on an individual level, like, damn, I was getting bullied. I was like getting bullied, and now I'm safe. Like, I was like a young kid getting bullied. Now I'm a grown adult. I'm safe.
Yeah.
Or I was.
It's like now I learned martial arts.
Exactly.
Now, and I can defend myself.
Exactly. I was in jail, and I was getting tormented in jail. Now I'm out of jail. Now China is like, okay, we were getting humiliated for 100 years, and now we have the opportunity to work towards stability of being a world power. And what I'm getting at is, what would be cool about that if I was a person who lived in China would be, that is like a walled garden. That is like, you've made this great society, and now you got this perspective of what has happened in the past, and now you have a walled garden. That is what I want to create with my own house. It's what I would want to create with the country.
Is China a walled garden though? Is that what you?
Yeah, for sure. Look at their country. It's literally a walled garden. They got ocean on.
Yeah, but I feel like there's a lot going on in China that's not a garden, man.
No, I mean, yeah, that's the other part of it. I for sure agree with that. That's the other part of it. Inside of it, it's probably actually hell. It's probably walled hell.
Well, it seems like their form of living is similar to what's beginning to happen here with if you're not this or if you don't act in this way, then you don't get any access to this or that, this food,
Yeah.
this sporting event, this entertainment.
And it's all backed up by
and
technology.
They have social
now.
credit scores, which I mean it's what I just explained, but you basically get marks based off of how you live your life. And are you eating too much meat? Are you driving too much, using too much gas? You know what I mean?
I don't know if we do that right. I don't know if that would be the worst thing that has ever happened. People talk. I'm against all of this stuff happening right now, and I mean I could be wrong. It actually literally could be the worst thing that has ever happened. But I don't know if the social credit score would be that bad.
It depends on who's making the parameters and who's saying, "Oh, this is good, this is bad."
Yes.
If it's based on, like I've heard things like, "Oh, it could be based on your browser history." Like, "Oh, it looks like you have been visiting sites of our political enemies. We're going to dock you some points, and until you make those up, you can't go get groceries or can't get gas or."
Right. And if it's
things
powered
like
by Google and Facebook and Twitter and all those things that are already banishing people from their sites, how does that roll into other corporate companies who align with Twitter or Google or whatever, who can say, yeah, you can't buy our products because you went against what they wanted?
Part of what could be good about it is it's very clear that it's hard to live a good life, and too much sugar, not enough working out, and we outsource accountability, and we're like, hey, I set this goal. Hey, Jimmy, I set this goal, and I need to work out all the time. And then Jimmy's like, well, dang, are you working out? He'll follow up with you later. Are you working out?
Mm-hmm.
So it would be good if there was a system in place that held everybody accountable to those things that have to happen. The issue is that system would for sure get corrupt. But if there was a system that was like, you just, I mean, it's even tough to say it because it's not what I want. But like, hey, you can't have 4 Kit Kats.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That it's like, hey, you can't have 4 Kit. But I actually do sometimes want 4 Kit Kats, man.
Yeah.
But
then,
there's already a built-in natural system like that though, man. Because if you start to go down a path like that, people notice it. You know what I mean? And then they'll subconsciously they'll rank you lower as a person, even if they don't come out and say, "Oh, well, you can't do this or you can't do that," but their respect for you will go down.
So it's like a social hierarchy.
Yes.
Then it's like you show up and you have Kit Kat stains on your T-shirt. I know you've been eating Kit Kats. I don't respect you as much as I would.
Yeah.
If you didn't have Kit Kat stains,
for sure.
But the problem is then, is there a penalty? What's the penalty if somebody does have 4 Kit Kats?
That's what they're actually. Well, okay. Well, first off, should there be a penalty? But actually, before we even get there, if you're eating, Jimmy said that there is a system in place, and it's what we're describing right there. But there's really not, because people really are hundreds and hundreds of pounds. I mean, they are 400, 500 pounds.
Yeah.
And it's not that uncommon. And the crazy thing is, our society has literally gone the opposite direction, where it's really not that accountability. It's the opposite, where it's like, well, don't shame them.
It's just it's a mass acceptance of all these weird behaviors.
Yeah. So the thing that you're describing as being something that is naturally holding accountable is actually going away. That thing really isn't even existing.
I feel like it'll come back around, though. I have a feeling that it will.
I feel like
a lot of those people won't reproduce.
I don't know, man.
It's like a natural selection kind of thing.
I don't know.
That'll come into play.
I've seen a lot of, through my studies and rotations, I've seen a lot of very unhealthy people come in with all sorts of issues, it's like drug abuse and things like that, and those people are having babies too.
Through my studies,
But I mean,
through
to an
my
extent,
through
like
my studies in life, I've seen a lot of these guys,
through my observations and experiences,
weak ass bitches, and they're reproducing.
I feel like that ties back into the collective goal, though, and to have a good collective goal. Say the leaders of our society wanted to make a collective goal of having a truly healthy and robust population. Those things would have to be like outlined and promoted. You know what I mean? So like in El Salvador, how they have these commercials on TV now saying like healthy lifestyle is important. You need to have these things in order to be healthy. If that was massively promoted and pushed more into the general consciousness of say our nation, then more people would think that way, and that'd become an ideal for more people. And then positive social pressure on the people that don't live that way. I feel like that slowly makes a change.
So what is the tool putting pressure? Are you saying the social credit score, or what is the tool to put pressure?
It's not even a tool. It's just mass awareness of it. Imagine if our government was running ads on all TV news stations saying, "Hey, make sure you're drinking 2 liters of water a day. Make sure that you go get your sun today. Make sure that you take your vitamin pack today. Make sure you don't eat too much sugar today."
All right. This is going along with what you're saying. Another thing that Ray Dalio was saying, he was talking about how a company or a country, an autocratic country, is run like a company in the United States, and that's very true. That was like a paradigm shift for me, because my company is ran like China is ran, and it's not necessarily even a bad thing. There are bad elements to that and good elements, but so like for example, if something on a broad scale, people who are higher up in my company look at numbers and they look at things happening across the company and they're like, oh, well, there's not enough proposals that are becoming submissions, meaning we got to monitor the amount of proposals happening. So we got to monitor the amount of proposals going out to people, and by doing that, they're putting pressure on people who are like middle managers, and they're like, hey, you've got to monitor these things. And now, like being a middle manager, you don't want to do that. It's like, oh, it's extra work. Dang it. I got to do extra work. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
I hate you guys. I hate you. But it's also right as well. So that's the other part of it. They're forcing you to do something that is actually right. The issue is that when they force you to do something that is not right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But sometimes, because I mean, honestly, I've experienced a lot of growth at my company, and part of it is a result of doing things that are uncomfortable and that I wouldn't have chosen to do. And it actually pissed me off at the time, but you realize in retrospect, what's hard is good that was right. But the issue is, again, when it isn't right. And if you're in such a tight system like China, and the hierarchy is so steep all the way up to one person, Xi Jinping, and he makes an order and it's like everybody's got to do it.
Yeah.
It's like, damn, man. But what I'm getting at is the good part about that is collective purpose still.
Mm-hmm.
A company's got collective purpose. China's got collective purpose.
Mm-hmm.
People want that.
Indirect accountability too, because there's, like you said, there's layers. It's a hierarchy, but depending on what layer you're in, you have direct accountability to the people enforcing it. Also, in terms of punishment, or in the company being fired, right? If you don't do those things that they ask you to do, they'll just find somebody else to do it, and you're out of a job, and you're not going to get a paycheck.
Yes.
If you don't do the things that the supreme leader is asking you to do, then who knows what could happen to you.
So that's the same thing that you're describing, but you're describing it in a looser way. It's the same thing, but like you're like, well, we got to have these pressures put in place, and it's got to come from social, and people just have to do it. China's like, yeah, you're right. People just have to do it, and they're like, well, we're going to put the system in place to make sure they do it.
Yeah.
Depending on what the system is, I mean, it's probably going to work out for them long term. Honestly, it's not going to be ideal for the individuals, and it might not be the best. I don't think it's the best thing long term. Honestly, I myself don't.
Why?
I think
Why do you think it's not the best long term?
Because just the way that a forest grows, man. The way that a forest grows perfectly. Nobody has. You don't have to. It's like it's the Tao Te Ching, man. When you live in the way, just live in the way, and everything positive will flow. You can't force everything to happen. You can't, like, you want a woman and you just want her so bad, and you're like trying desire, and you just don't get her because you squeeze her to death.
Mhm.
You want a goal so bad, and you want it so bad, and you squeeze it to death.
Mm.
You're a leader of a country, and you want your country to be so good, you squeeze it to death. Next thing you know, it's 1900, and you're the king of France, and you're getting beheaded in the street, and everybody keeps beheading everybody because they got pissed off.
Yeah, because the metrics that you put in place and the demands that you had, people started feeling trapped and not getting enough
what happens,
for what they
man.
were doing.
That's
Yeah,
what happens.
people get trapped, and people get
Yes.
pissed off, and they say, "We've had enough of this, and we have numbers."
Yes, exactly. And sometimes it's not even about numbers, it's about motivation. Even if you don't have the numbers, if you're highly motivated, it's not good. So,
Do you think stuff like that is going on right now in China?
like what?
Like individuals highly motivated against the CCP?
Yeah,
It doesn't seem like it.
no, I bet there is for sure.
I think there is.
I bet every country has people like that.
It doesn't seem like they have the numbers, like you're mentioning.
The thing is we don't see any of it, man. How would we know? You know how?
Yeah,
It's just like I think we've talked about this before, but just like Russia, we have this image painted for us about how Russia is. You know, does anybody really know what's going on in Russia?
You know why you
Not
can't
really.
know what's going on? It's because you don't speak the language. We can't. Too much is getting lost in translation. We couldn't know what's going on.
But there's also an agenda in place to demonize Russia.
I know.
That's seeped into what we think about Russia because of the way movies have been portrayed, how TV shows, how people talk about Putin, blah blah blah. I mean, I gotta stop saying blah blah blah, by the way, because I notice I say that a lot. Stop doing that.
You gotta, rather than saying blah blah blah, you gotta give the details.
Yeah,
You gotta say what you mean.
yeah. What was I saying though?
You're saying that it's what we've been told and what we've seen in movies and what we've learned in the classroom always is that Russia is.
But then
you know,
there's also these things where Putin comes out and says, well, the United States has lost Christ in their culture. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's completely different than what we've been told is
That's what Russia's saying, that we've lost Christ.
Something along those lines. I'm almost positive.
Interesting. Yeah.
But that's also like a type of collective purpose, you know?
Yeah, for
like
sure.
a collective religious,
It's
religiously
collective, but
cohesive
it's like
society.
individual.
I think we're yearning for that.
If everybody had an individual purpose of being like Christ, it would create a collective purpose.
If everyone had an individual purpose of being like Christ, do you think that's the way, though?
What?
I think that's what people should pursue.
For the most part, yeah, I would say so.
Is it like moral?
Or it doesn't
moral
have to be.
framework-wise.
Doesn't have to be only Christian either.
Yeah, just
I think
a system of
the
morals and
Buddha is
morality.
the same sort of ideology. You know what I mean? It's a little different in the fact that he didn't like carry a cross and die on it, which is way more intense than. What did he do? Sit there and deflect arrows or something?
Yeah.
Is that what he did?
Deflected an army. Yeah.
Not that that's bad
turn them
either,
into
but
flowers.
he got into such a state of peace that it just like destroyed everything trying to destroy him.
So if we had a collective purpose as a country, what would be our collective purpose? People are yearning for that, man. I mean, it's like being on a team.
The thing I was trying to say earlier about the mass psychosis formation is that this may not be true. This may just be a theory, but it seems that a group of powerful people came up with something like COVID in order to create this bad guy, this collective purpose for people. So then a totalitarian group could come in and swoop the power. Does that make sense?
Yeah, we'll be the ones holding the solution to it and be the saviors and hopefully have
Well, so what
everyone
he's
fall in
saying
line.
is, so what he's saying though is people have already thought of that, and that's what they're attempting to do right now with this whole COVID deal, which is, I'm sure we could get banned from YouTube me saying that, but
Yeah.
I wouldn't. I'm not. I don't think that's far off at all. I have pretty big confidence saying that that's what's going on.
What's that phrase that it says like so it's like the formula for a totalitarian takeover, I guess, where it's problem. So you have a problem, you present the problem, there's a reaction to the problem, and there's a solution. So it's like, okay, guys, here and we're in March of 2020, we have a problem. Okay, chaos ensues. We see images of people in body bags in New York, and we see people falling over dead in China. Hazmat suits, spraying people and cars and whole blocks with chemicals to disinfect it. You know, really hyping up the fear. Like we got to be scared of this, guys. Like this is going to be serious. Imperial College of London putting out studies saying 2.2 million people are going to die. Right? So there's the reaction. The reaction is chaos. Everything shuts down just in case. We don't know how bad this is going to be. And then here comes the solution, and it's like a one-pronged solution, and it's get the vaccines, and the vaccines is the solution. So you can be the one creating the problem and then holding the solution, and that's just the formula to.
That's what the mass formation psychosis is. That's what he explained at the end of that podcast.
Okay.
Did you hear that? Did you listen to that?
What was the last thing you said? You can be the one with the problem and holding the solution.
Well, you can be the one to create the problem, knowing all along you're the one with the solution. So you create the problem. It's like, I have a huge bucket of water, and I'm going to go start a fire in this business here. And then when I come with the water, then I'm the hero and I'm the savior. And now everyone wants to donate money to me. They start a GoFundMe page for me.
And they follow you. They think you have the answers. You're the way.
Yeah.
I mean, do you think it was put into motion before February of 2020? Then that's a big undertaking.
Absolutely.
I think so. Definitely. I mean, it depends on what you believe about the origin of it.
Why is the origin relevant to intention?
Because of a group of scientists were over in China studying how a bat virus can get into humans, and then raising the level of what's the term?
Infectivity.
Well, what's the term everybody keeps throwing out there?
Virality.
Gain of function.
Oh,
and then by the way, we make sure that all these companies who are going to be making vaccines, we make sure that they're not liable for any damages right before it comes out. And there's numerous things we could talk about.
Yeah,
with
but the specific modifications made to it was to make it more likely to attach to human
more
lung
transferable.
cells. So that was it was specifically in the design to make it so it can infect human lung cells.
I don't know if there's any value in having that mindset.
Having what mindset?
I don't know if I'd call it a conspiracy mindset, but like a mindset of I mean that is a conspiracy actually. And there's nothing wrong with thinking about conspiracies and things like that.
Yeah.
It's a conspiracy or a conspiracy theory? What are you trying to say with that? Because those are two different things also that people don't explain well.
Well, what you just described as a conspiracy, that would literally be people conspiring to start this. And with intention behind it.
Yeah.
I guess what I'm getting at is I don't know if there's value in.
I mean, I think there's value in it as far as understanding what's going on around you.
Right, and we always talk about all the time truth. I mean, what's the harm in knowing even more a broader truth of the world and the current events?
Are you saying it's not beneficial to dwell on, like getting stuck there and trying to pin blame for it? Is that what you're saying?
I don't know if it leads to I don't know if it leads to anything positive to think in that direction at all. Would you open that?
Yeah.
I don't know that it seems to. It's like if you're wrestling somebody, and you feel pressure, and you're feeling pressure, and you're feeling pressure. I mean, to go directly at that pressure, and that in this instance of what we're talking about is, it'd be better to like let the pressure keep going. I don't. That doesn't really make sense, but it's like you're fighting like the point that they're describing as so beyond far-fetched. Like you're like that is the part where like nobody will give, like talking about, oh, this is a conspiracy, people are taking advantage of this. People will give no give to that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Or is that confusing? Like
No,
Some
I mean,
people, some people will do that.
that's when we're talking about like oppositions and the divide and things like that, the bigot, like that's where they're drawing line. People are drawing line to saying like, no, like that is where people are like adamant this is stopping. Like, no, this is not a conspiracy. Which that might be the easiest way to say that it is a conspiracy then, if they're that adamant against it.
but do you think it would be bad for people like on a mass scale? Like, say we had who's somebody that you would trust? Like, if you heard somebody come on the news or there's emergency broadcast, and who is somebody that you would trust and believe if they gave you a piece of information?
Somebody that I would trust.
Yeah.
It's actually a really good question. There's like, I mean, it might just be Joe Rogan, honestly, at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what if somebody like, I mean, and this would piss off a ton of people, but just for the example, if Joe Rogan came on the TV, and let's just pretend that he's massively trustworthy and everyone kind of looks at him like a guy that they can trust and they tend to believe what he says. If he came on an emergency broadcast and said, look, guys, you know, it's been a hard 2 years, but we finally have some answers. Like, it looks like this virus was created in the lab, and maybe it got out on accident, or, you know, it was leaked maliciously, but this is what's going on. We now have a better understanding of the situation. Do you think that'd be a positive thing?
Yeah, that'd be one of the most positive things I could experience right now. That would give me clarity in my life.
What would that clear up?
It's like there's like an elephant in the room right now in society, and it's not knowing what's going on with COVID. Honestly, that's like the big thing.
There's some pretty hard evidence that is the thing right now, though. That's the status of
That it
where
came
we're
from
at.
a lab.
For sure, yeah. It accidentally or maliciously came of a lab. That's pretty common. You can go find that information, and it's true.
I know. So why do people not keep going down that pathway? Why are people not continuing to research down that pathway?
There are people doing
definitely
it.
people doing that.
But it's just not, it will never reach, I mean, it has reached mainstream. You know, at first it was, oh, this definitely didn't happen. These are conspiracy theorists spreading it, and then like pop up in the Wall Street Journal months later and says, why the lab leak hypothesis deserves some attention. Things like that.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. You said why does, well, I think where we went with this was, you said why is it important to think about that kind of thing, or to
no, I guess what I was asking is, I don't know. I'm trying to, with this whole situation, what I'm trying to do is bring clarity to my mind and bring clarity to what's going on. And I understand the lab leak portion of it, and I mean, again, I do understand how it'd be like people higher up who are like orchestrating all of this. But it seems to me also like that might be too far-fetched for people higher up orchestrating all of this. And that might be where it's like, it might be a dead end. To go down that pathway might be a dead end.
I don't know, man. There's been a lot of characters in history that have kind of advocated for something like this. And who was it? Someone like the one of the royalty in England had a daydream that he died and came back as a deadly virus to wipe out the planet. And
Yeah, it was the guy that just passed away, I think.
wasn't, what's his name?
He had a dream that
Prince
he
Philip
came
or
back
something?
as
Philip
a
or
virus.
George?
Well, no, he didn't have it was like this was a quote from him or something, like his biggest hope would be to die and then be reincarnated as a deadly virus to wipe out the world's population. So this has been a thing that
Dude, think
that
about how
certain
dark that
elites
is. Is
yeah
that
have
real?
been man. Yeah.
All right.
Let me see if I can find it for
Can
you.
you look that up?
Keaton.
Prince Philip.
Yeah,
We
no,
got.
I think it was Charles.
All right.
Yeah,
Charles.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
What's
I was
the
gonna say
exact quote?
George for some reason, but
I mean, he actually died of COVID, I think, which is
Is that
kind of
real?
ironic.
see if you
Jeez.
can find that quote though, because we don't want to. As usual, podcast rules. We don't want to say something that.
Yeah, make
We
it
don't look up here.
accurate. Would you roll that to me? What?
But you just said something about
Is
that
there
being
an
too
exact-
He
far
said,
fetched.
if I were reincarnated, I would wish to be returned to Earth as a killer virus to lower the human population levels.
Why
And then
does he
there's people like Bill Gates who were on TED Talks like a year, maybe it's even 2019, early 2019, 2018. He was talking about depopulation and how if we do these vaccines the right way, we can control the future of our population growth. I mean, that was on. There's a newspaper page where he's on the cover and it says this quote. Like
Who is this? I miss who you're talking about.
Bill Gates was talking about how we have a population problem. There's too many people on the earth, and that if we were to, in the future, nail or get the way we make vaccines right, we can control this growth.
What the? There's no way. We gotta find that.
Man,
quote
I
as well.
I promise you, I'm not gonna say anything on here that I don't.
Can you find that quote as well? About? Did we find the exact quote with Prince Charles as well?
Yeah, he just read it.
There's
Can you
another
read that still.
there's
I'm
another
curious.
quote I'm going to try to find here for you.
Bizarre to I don't that is very bizarre. If we play our hands right, we could use. I gotta hear the exact quote on that one.
About Bill Gates or Prince Charles?
Either one. He just said the Prince Charles one, but
yeah, I want to hear both of them.
Well, Prince Charles said, I guess he said it in 1988. He said, if I were
Reincarnated.
Yeah. I would wish to be returned to Earth as a killer virus to lower human population levels.
Okay.
yeah, that's what I'm
I
saying,
get it,
man.
I
And
understand.
you
I used to
said
think
you
about
said
that.
that's far fetched, which I know what you're saying, but there's, I mean, to keep going on quotes here, that the quote of reality is stranger than fiction. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
People,
for sure.
fiction that you see in movies or poems or novels or whatever is
This
all
is-
inspired by real things.
This is what Bill Gates said in 2010. He said, the world today has 6.8 billion people. That's headed up to about 9 billion. Now, if we do a really great job on new vaccines, healthcare, reproductive health services, we could lower that by perhaps 10 to 15%. But there,
What?
we see an increase of about 1.3.
Wait, what was the things that he's listed?
If we do a really good job on new vaccines, healthcare, and reproductive health services,
Interesting. Let's,
See, doesn't that change the whole perspective when you find something like that out?
I've got another one too. This one is kind of dead on and very specific to what we're going through right now. So this is a quote out of a book. This man's name is Jacques Attali. He's the advisor to French President Francois Mitterrand, and this is in 1981. He wrote a memoir called Verbatim. And in the memoir, so this is kind of a longer quote, but I'm going to read it. He says, in the future, it will be a question of finding a way to reduce the population. We will start with the old because as soon as it exceeds 60 to 65 years, man lives longer than he produces and costs society dearly. And the weak and then the useless who do nothing for society because there will be more and more of them, and especially the stupid ones. Euthanasia targeting these groups. Euthanasia will have to be an essential instrument of our future societies in all cases. We cannot, of course, execute people or set up camps. We will get rid of them by making them believe it's for their own good. We will find something or cause
Interesting.
something, a pandemic that targets certain people, a real crisis, a real economic crisis or not, a virus that will affect the old or the fat. It doesn't matter. The weak will succumb to it, and the fearful and the stupid will believe it and ask to be treated. We will have taken care to have planned the treatment, a treatment that will be the solution. The selection of idiots will thus be done on its own. They will go to the slaughterhouse on their
When
own.
was this
Oh
written?
my goodness.
This is 1981.
Damn, dude, you read that so aggressively too. That he wrote that so matter of
Yeah.
factly.
He wrote that fast and hard too.
Yeah, he did. So that's out of his memoir. He is an advisor to the French president in 1981.
Man, this guy's a good writer. I will say that. Like the way this is written really well. Euthanasia targeting these groups. Euthanasia will have to be an essential instrument of our future societies in all cases.
Bim, bim, bim.
We cannot,
Bim, bim,
of
bim.
course, execute people or set up camps. We will get rid of them by making our all of those are powerful sentences, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I do not agree with that man saying. I mean, I understand the essence of it and what he believes, but I don't agree with it.
That's eugenics,
Yeah,
that's
that is-
eugenics
it's
to a
definitely
core.
eugenics.
and that
I'm gonna get this.
that's
ice,
back
this
to-
ice.
Okay.
what Jamie and I were talking about with
We get enough for my cup too.
the Huxley family.
Aldous and Julian. What were you talking about then?
Well, we were just talking about Brave New World and how crazy it was that somebody like that could predict something like that. And then I brought up the fact that his brother was big into transhumanism. I think he coined transhumanism, like that's his term.
I think that's right. Yeah.
But
Well, he was a part. What society was he a part of? Because he was a part of
I think they were
something.
in Austria, right?
I'm not sure.
Here's
The
another
Huxleys?
quote from Bill Gates in 2011. He said he saw data suggesting that when morality rates fall, so do birth rates. And then he said we moved pretty heavily into vaccines once we understood that. Because he initially got into the public health to focus on contraception. But he said once he realized that when mortality rates fall, mortality rates fall, so do birth rates. So he told Forbes we moved pretty heavily into vaccines once we understood that.
Okay. So
Yeah, and he was
more-
doing work over in Africa for years and years and
Yeah.
years. And sterile. A lot of the women became sterile because of these vaccines that they were pushing on them. What were you saying that?
I was just trying to clear up the quote. So when mortality falls, so do birth rates.
Mortality or morality?
Mortality.
So mortality. So people are living longer and having fewer children. Is that what he was saying?
That's what he's saying. It said they saw data suggesting that when mortality rates fall, so do birth rates.
And so they moved more heavily.
Yeah,
into,
he said
into
they
vaccines.
shifted their focus from preventing births to saving people already alive, and they moved in heavily into vaccines. And he told Forbes that in 2011.
Okay.
That's just such a dark outlook. You know what I mean? Rather
But
than
I'm trying to. I think. I don't think that's necessarily. I don't know if there's malicious intent behind that statement, though. So people are living longer. So instead of trying to prevent childhood mortality, they're focusing on preventing people from dying with vaccines. I think that's all it's saying.
So what? Can you read the quote one more time? I'm sorry.
All right.
I lost track of what even happened there.
He said, so initially he went into public health to focus on contraception based on what I was
Yeah,
saying
like-
about the population. And he said, when we saw data suggesting that when mortality rates fall, so do birth rates. And then he said, we moved pretty heavily into vaccines once we understood that.
So when mortality means how many people are dying or how many people are living.
Death. Yeah.
So if more people are dying, less people are being born.
That's what he's saying.
And then they moved into vaccines.
Yeah, because essentially they're saying if people live longer, they're reproducing less.
Okay,
So they're saying if we could get people to live longer, we can control the population.
Yeah, I guess you're right then.
There may be too many people, man. I mean, that might just be a fact.
I guess why I was just starting to say that that's dark is that then there's people like Elon Musk who are saying wait a second, why don't we just go like try to find a new home?
Yeah.
Why don't we find some more land? You know what I mean? Rather than trying to off people
Yeah.
or reduce
The population.
reduce people's chances of having children or whatever. Why don't we go explore and be brave? You know?
Yeah.
Be brave.
Be brave.
I mean, that's the better solution. You don't want to. I mean, I don't want to hurt people. I don't want to be the one
No.
deciding who has kids and who doesn't.
Have you ever met people?
That was kind of my next point.
I
Is
mean, you got to give the devil its due.
I know, and going back to, I meant to mention this earlier when we were talking about democracy and things like that. And I read a quote the other day that said, "The best argument against democracy is having a conversation with the average citizen for 5 minutes."
For 5 minutes. Damn, man.
But I mean, and I know you felt that way probably in your daily life when you come across people and you see somebody like,
Yeah, for
dude,
sure.
these people vote, man. These people,
Yeah, and
Man,
have
driving.
not only do they
sway.
vote, that's like their main thing. They're not doing the. It's weird because people that aren't doing their own life, that's who cares the most.
Yeah,
That's who cares about politics and
That's
the drama
true.
the most.
yeah. To vote to get things.
2022.
I think it's more of just
2022.
doing what they think's cool
It's coming.
than
It's
voting
here.
to get
It's
things
here.
to fit into a group.
Voting to get like free money.
Well, I was saying
In
I
some
think it's
cases.
they're more about doing what they think's cool and what'll help them fit in.
I could see that helping them helping them fit in, meaning like, oh, I'm very liberal right now because that's what's cool.
Yeah.
I can
Hey,
see
that's
that.
what so and so the basketball player said is cool, so that's what I think's cool too. You know? Oh, the rapper, he just came out with a new song and I really think that's super cool because That's what he said.
He says LGBT or
Yeah.
something.
For sure.
I don't know. It's groupthink. It's mass formation psychosis.
Mass formation psychosis. Were you not
mass
big-
vacation psychosis.
Oh,
Dang, I don't have it on mine.
oh, vote Democrat in the next election.
That was perfect.
That was perfect.
All right,
We're back. Part 2.
part two.
Part two.
All right, let's go part 2 now. What is part 2? What is where are we headed? We can change this. We can.
What are
change
good? What are
things.
some good things ahead?
Good
What are
things
what are
ahead?
good
That's a good
things? What
question.
are
That's a
good
good
things that
question.
you're looking forward to?
That's a really good question, actually. Good things that I'm looking forward to. It's good that you ask that because the main thing I've been thinking about lately is, we were talking earlier about like topics in podcasts. One of the other topics I've had was living in the gap. I can't remember who I was talking about that with, but living in the gap. So what's going on good in the future? Well, setting up goals, try to do things, try to live better, but I mean, all right, you think about the light. So the light, people talk about the light.
Yeah.
Go into the future, you see the light.
Mhm.
The alternative of the light is darkness.
Yes.
But when I look towards my future, I see a lot of darkness.
Okay.
That's like, oh. All right.
No, truly. I mean, that's
Yes,
kind of
me
a
that.
joke, but it's barely a
Trace?
joke. I mean,
You passed the Buffalo at Trace.
But that's what you're looking forward to.
um,
I mean, that's what they says. What are you looking forward to? And you said the darkness.
yeah. Well, okay, that's what I'm saying. If you look forward to, you're talking about the future. It doesn't. I'm not saying I'm looking forward to it in a positive way. I'm just saying there's darkness in the future, and the future. I've got to make changes. That's the only way that I can.
Is
go.
is it in your immediate future, or are you thinking long term future?
My immediate future. Bitters.
Yeah,
I'm
it's pretty good.
What was your answer? I missed it. I'm sorry.
Darkness in the immediate future.
My big thing that I have to do, man, is I've got to change my diet. I've got to change my diet, and I mean, I've said this before, but I truly believe that I could evolve as a man if I were to sacrifice properly. It's very hard, though, man. It's very hard.
It is hard. It's one of the hardest things. Sacrificing time, in my case, that's probably my biggest thing. It's probably my darkness.
What do you mean sacrificing time?
So I've been thinking a lot about how I spend my time, and it's exaggerated right now because I don't have a like being on a break and not really having a constant goal or constant obligations on my part. I tend to waste a lot of time.
Mm.
I have goals and I have things that I want to do, but often it turns into time wasting and screwing around with things that are getting me nowhere. Sleeping in, staying up real late, just doing just the average thing, just the very average, easy thing to do. And it becomes hard when you don't have like a constant pressure or you don't have to show up for anything on a daily basis with, obligations or consequences to it. It's really hard to manage yourself in my case.
Yeah, it's funny. That literally goes back to what we were talking about earlier
Can you hear you?
with outsourcing accountability.
Yeah.
I mean, I have days, if I take a day off of work, if I'm really exhausted, I'll take a day off of work and then I won't do a damn thing.
Yeah.
I will not do a damn thing. And I'll just start my normal morning routine. So I'll like go to a coffee shop and I'll start writing and I'll do things like that. And maybe it's a really good writing session, but there's damn near nothing more left in the day after that. Like I'm so tired. Maybe I can will myself to work out, but I usually just
Lay around.
do nothing.
Yeah.
And it's not good, man. I'll clean. I don't have anything to do. There's nothing like there's nowhere to go. That's the one thing really bad about Indianapolis.
Yeah.
There's nowhere to go.
Yeah. Well, especially when it's freezing cold outside.
Yeah.
Go to Eagle Creek.
That's what I was about to say. That's the only place you can.
We
that's
should
like
get
the
a
only
run in
place.
soon there, by the way.
Yeah.
A couple miles, maybe 4.
That's like nourishing for the soul. Getting outdoors. We didn't do it this year, man. We didn't go outdoors.
I know.
We have to do it in the spring.
This is
Yeah,
the
we
first
should.
year
We
think
definitely
should.
We just get it on the books right now.
We should each
Yeah, I'd do it
bring
on the books right now.
one person that's never done it before.
I would love to bring my brother.
I want to either bring my cousin or Ross out there.
Yeah,
Show them what it's like.
that'd be fun. I was thinking about that too. Also, just thinking about coming over here and another topic that we haven't talked about on the show is our journeys and our travels and things like that.
Yeah.
I always love to revisit those because those were incredible,
Crazy.
incredible.
For sure.
I mean, incredible times. Incredible.
What do you think is the most impactful moment you've ever had in a journey? What is like the most because when I'm up there especially when I'm like walking on a mountain, it makes you, the big thing obviously is it makes you appreciate your mundane life. It makes you appreciate the mundane things about life weirdly. But what do you think is the most profound thing you've taken away?
It's hard because there's so many things I could think about.
Taken away.
Because even out there, just like the little small moments are cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like
Like
stumbling.
playing chess by a campfire, and that's the only light we had.
Yeah.
And throwing a bug into the fire that kept coming back to life.
Or like
It's
like
stupid
stumbling
shit.
upon like a cool mushroom or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like just like little things like that.
I think doing that though is like metaphorically every time we do it, it's like pounding the metal into a sword. You know what I mean? Especially when it's freaking cold.
Yeah.
It just like makes your mind so much more resilient to anything else that's trivial.
The most
I'd agree with that.
I would say the most impactful trips is when we went to Michigan. Not even close, man. I mean, like not I wouldn't say not even close, but that's the one that sticks with me for sure.
Me too, because
Like,
that
me
that
too.
was. I mean, that was the hardest. I think that's the hardest thing I've ever done in my entire life.
I think
Oddly
I
enough,
just got over
we were not
PTSD
expecting
from that
No.
trip.
Yeah.
Do you really think you had PTSD legitimately?
Man, I was going through some crazy psychological stuff for a while after that.
Like anxiety,
Panic attacks,
panic
like
attacks? Yeah,
like frequently.
yeah.
For what?
Like not almost. I think I've told you this before. Is like there was times where I felt disconnected from like reality in general,
Yeah.
and like I don't know. It's hard to explain. It's hard to explain how that feels.
Yeah. I mean, it was a traumatic experience.
Well, and then I was just an idiot too. I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah, that didn't help.
Well, you gotta wait till you get back to talk, cause
Yeah,
Wow.
that was. I mean, the last 2 hours of that trip was literally. It was a step by step. Like, not even sure if you're going to be able to take the next step. It's like that was just pure will, and almost like emergency level for me. Because I felt like I was looking at both of you, and both of you were. Jamie was in really bad shape. You were also in bad shape.
yeah, I was in bad shape for sure.
I was in bad shape. I was hallucinating that the trees were
Yeah.
zigzagging and waving like this. And I looked at both of you and I was like, I mean, this could get really serious. Jamie's kidneys are about to start shutting down. So if anyone's going to make it, it has to be me. And so that was like my motivation to keep pushing through, get to the highway.
I was. If I would have gone down, it would have been because I literally just died walking. Because I was like, we have to get out of these woods.
Mhm.
That's the only thing I was thinking about the whole time was keeping my breath normal and taking a step.
All
Like,
right. So
for hours and
so
hours.
to start at point zero, we drive to Michigan, and on the way to Michigan, we're talking about how easy it's going to be, and we're literally talking about how like, oh, we've done all of these hard journeys. We've gone to Smoky Mountains quite a few times.
Mhm.
Walked on actual mountains. Fine. All right, here we are. We're just going to go out into the wilderness, kind of just enjoy it out here, and it's going to be a chill thing.
The first day was great.
Yeah, and there's a river, and we're gonna do we're just gonna do a loop around the river. It's gonna be like 24 miles, easy. We're gonna hit a meadow. It's gonna be nice. It'll be
Yes.
chill.
I still remember that meadow, man. I remember hitting the
The
meadow
mosquito
there,
hell?
yes, and the way back.
It was beautiful though.
It was beautiful, but
So
most mosquitoes I've ever seen in my entire life.
we start walking, and then we walk for a few miles, and we see like a campsite. Like people are out there camping, and there was they were doing like work out
It was a
there. They were, like,
construction
yeah, they were like
site.
cutting down trees
Yeah,
deep into the forest.
yeah.
They had like, heavy machinery out there. I don't know how they got it out there.
It looked like they were making a road of some kind.
And they had like a whole
And in
camp
the
with
middle
their
of
wives.
nowhere.
Yeah.
Yes,
And
their
kids were there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you guys remember? So we were. I can't remember if this was. I think this was after we came upon the construction site,
Yeah,
but we came upon those hunters,
Yeah.
Oh,
and they were hunting. This is
yeah.
this is in the tribal land.
Yeah, it was right
that's what I
before
was
the
about to say,
tribal law.
land.
It was right before the tribal law,
That's
and
the
one of the
second-
hunters looked at us and he said, "Oh, so you guys are taking the long hike?"
Yeah.
And we were
Yeah.
kind of just like, "Yeah, I guess 24 miles is pretty long." Like, yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
And
I think we were only planning to do 13 though, right? The loop was like 13 miles.
was it 13.
I can't
Okay.
remember. I don't even know what our intention was.
I think
24
we
is a
ended up
lot.
we did 32.
And then
Anyways, we gotta
we
keep
did
going with the
32.
story.
Yeah.
then we see the sign. The sign says,
Yeah.
keep going a little bit further after the hunters. Or is it before the hunters or after the
It was
hunters?
before the hunters
And we
because
s-
they were hunting on tribal land. They were Native American
Oh,
hunters.
interesting.
Yeah.
And it said, it said something about you are now on tribal land and tribal law is what applies. Something along those lines. It's like
Yeah.
you will follow tribal law.
We had to go
That-
through all that to get to the meadows though,
I
because
know, that's what
we
I'm saying.
slept right after
Yeah.
those meadows.
Yeah.
No, but we were about to sleep in the Met. That's a crazy thing. We were so exhausted and dead because that's like a third of the way there. Then we keep going, and then like it starts to get dark in the meadows. We finally reach the meadows, and it's dark outside, and we're by a
Yeah.
river, and we're like, "Dang, dude, we're going to have to just camp right here.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
we're going to have to sleep right by this river."
Do you guys remember if the first night we were thinking anything was up?
No.
If what?
No, I was just gonna say that I slept like a baby that night too, and I woke up and like the sky was pink as the sun was like rising. It was like beautiful, and I was like, man, I just slept so good.
Yeah. So I think in the back of my mind, I thought something was off
Oh, I thought
because
something was
we
up,
should have
sure.
been on the left side of the river, and we were on the right side, and so I was just kind of thinking, what the hell?
Yeah, you've never mentioned that, but that makes sense.
But then, we were going off of a map we printed off, a very undetailed map. It was just like green line for where you go here. And then I had the compass hanging on my backpack. So I was probably looking at it tilted and probably just gave up at some point. I was just
For
like,
sure. Let's just
whatever.
keep following
This
the
is a
path.
well-marked
Yeah,
trail.
for
Like
sure.
we'll just go. We'll
Yeah.
just do it. But then, yeah, the place we camped was the very first hill where we got out of the meadow.
It was a cool spot to camp.
It was
That's
cool.
Man, that's so beautiful to be out on like a ridge, kind of like a small little ridge like that, and just set up underneath the stars and look up and see the stars. But we definitely did hear people acting crazy on the river that night. Like people were out on like a boat or like a pontoon, and that's probably the worst thing you can hear out there.
I think I slept through that. I don't know if I heard
I
that.
was more worried about. We kept hearing like
It was early in the night.
huge acorns or like those spike balls were falling from the trees, and they would hit the ground, and it would be like it was like shake the earth from it so hard.
Yeah, I do remember hearing the people out there though, and I was like, that's the worst thing you can hear. I did not want to deal with these guys.
I don't want to come into contact with anyone.
Yeah.
Sleeping under the stars.
And then day two.
We woke up.
Day two, feeling good. Day two, because also important to mention, we were all we were gonna fast for 48 hours.
Oh yeah, we had literally no food up to this point.
We didn't bring. I brought like
I
a
had 2
granola bar.
Yeah.
But we ended up never touching it.
Yeah.
So yeah, we get up day two and really don't even look at our map because we're just like, I think we're in the right spot, so let's just keep going. So we went probably 6-7 miles.
Yeah, we went really far. I mean, that's pretty far to walk that far early in the morning.
Yeah. So we probably did 8 miles the first day.
At least
8 miles first day, maybe 6-7 the second day until we hit the highway.
I remember the highway.
Yeah. I mean, when we hit the highway, it was like, where are we?
Yeah.
We have no clue what's going on.
Zero.
And we're looking at our map, trying to make sense of it on our map, and we're just like,
there's no highway on the map. So I got my cell phone out and
I was trusting you guys, so I didn't even think twice of it up to this point until we saw the highway, and I was just like, oh, we actually don't know where we're at, do we?
Yeah,
So-
it didn't make sense because that road wasn't on the map.
Yeah.
We were like expecting a different named road, and this one was like, I don't know. It was just bizarre.
We had to make a decision at the road, though. I remember the decision at the road. We were gonna keep going like and just walk alongside the road back.
Yeah. So here, this is another important point is that I pulled out my phone and I had signal by the road.
Oh yeah.
And then that's when we found out that we had just we
Yeah.
had gone the completely
Yes.
wrong way
Yes.
in a straight line for 14
least.
miles.
At least.
14 miles out of the way. We missed the trailhead like a mile into our hike.
Yeah.
So we missed it. So also at that point, there was a river, but there was no way really to get down to the river because it was on an extremely steep embankment with tons of trees, and
Why would we even want to get to the river?
because we had no water, man.
Oh yeah, we did have that life straw thing though.
Yeah, but there's no way to make it down to the river.
That's right. But I didn't even think about the fact that we could have used life straw.
Yeah.
I forgot about the shortage of water. I knew that. Dang,
we did not have a life straw then. I don't think we did.
I think we did. I think you had a life straw.
the shortage of water. We actually had water at this point though. Still, but we were like preparing for knowing the fact that we might not have water, and we ended up obviously not having water.
Yeah.
But at this point, I definitely still had a little bit of water.
I think when we came back, we like retraced where we went. We got back to the meadows. I had probably like half of.
I was
water
feeling
bottle of
powerful when we
water.
got back to the meadows. Like I thought I was good to go.
Yeah, me too. We took our boots off for a little bit, sat. I had 2 liters of water left in 2 different 2 1-liter bottles, and I remember giving Jimmy 1 bottle, and then I think you were essentially out by the time we hit the meadow.
Somebody did give me some water. I think Jimmy gave me some of the one.
So
he
we
gave.
were all sharing very, very little
Yeah.
water, and we had still 8 miles
Yeah.
to go. And so I guess important to say at the road, we made the decision. We said, so we can either hike back to that spot and spend the night, or because of
yeah.
our water situation, we need to
Yes.
hike the entire way back to our car
Yes.
and get water.
Dude, that's not a fake situation.
No.
That is a real situation. To be short of water is real. It's not a
Yes.
fake thing. To be that
Short
deep
of
in the
water
forest,
and no food either, man.
there aren't people out there.
We
Like,
had a
no.
hot day ahead of us too. A hot, humid day.
Extremely hot.
and it's important to note that the people that we saw on the way up were gone on the way back.
Yeah.
The construction people, every soul that we saw on the way up was gone. It was just us. on the
You
way
know
back
what the
down.
only soul we saw was?
Our own.
That was those crows, man.
The crows mocking us the whole
Weird.
way.
And then we saw the Maddening Cove or whatever that was called.
Dang, dude, I forgot about the crows.
Man, we could write a whole book about this in like a metaphorical story way. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
But I was still at the when we were in the meadows, man. I still did feel powerful. I was still trucking along. I remember we were just walking a line. It's the same way that we always do it. We just kind of subconsciously walk a line, and then somebody else will take over and be the first person, and then we'll just keep switching, and somebody else will be the first, and somebody else will be the first. And through the meadow, at some point, I'm pretty sure when we were leaving the meadow, I was first, and I was like, all right, I'm feeling powerful. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go. I'm trekking, and I trekked all the way, probably to the point of roughly where it said Native American Reserves.
Yeah.
And dude, broke down.
No water at this point.
Yeah.
Zero water.
My
Yeah,
body
we were
literally
all out, right?
broke.
Zero water. We had
down.
zero water. No, not a drop of water left. Still fasting. No food.
Yeah, no food. no
This is
food.
like 32 hours of fasting.
At least, man, because I didn't have. Yeah, at least for sure.
Yeah, I think I had dinner the night before, and then that was it. So like we're 2 days into a fast. Okay, zero water, and sweating profusely. It's humid, clothes soaked with sweat. I mean, my shirt was literally stuck to my body.
Yeah.
And what? So from the meadows, we had 8 miles. We probably got. God, when did it start getting like really like serious in your mind?
I remember like a vivid image I have in my head is we were on this flat portion and we were kind of like walking back and forth and there was like leaves all over the ground. And then we came to this thing that like curved around a hill and went uphill.
Yeah.
And I sat down and asked you for like a piece of sausage or something,
Yeah.
and you told me
Yeah,
no.
I said no.
And so we haven't pointed this out yet, but I was tripping on LSD while we're doing this.
Yeah.
And so that right there, my whole world just like went. And then so from that point, I look around. Where's Jamie at? And so me and Matt start yelling, Jamie, and we don't hear anything. So we're like,
Yeah.
Jesus, man.
Matt's
gonna have
Jamie
to go
passed.
ahead. I'm gonna have to stay here and wait for Jamie, or go
Yeah.
back and get Jamie.
That's what we were talking about. Like Jimmy, like you're gonna have to stay with Jamie, and I'm just
Yeah.
gonna go ahead and get help.
Yeah, it was crazy, man.
Yeah, I was legitimately not tripping on LSD. But yeah, I was the one who was way far behind. And I remember these looping areas where what you're describing, where it's it's kind of tall trees, very forested, but it's damn near like mulch on the ground, and it's like looping and it's going uphill. And I remember sitting down at a point, and I remember watching you guys go up the hill. This image is fried in my brain because you guys were going up the hill and then you turned the image and I'd sat down. So I was watching you guys go up there, and it was rattling in my mind so long as to whether or not to make the choice to sit down. And when I sat down, it's like, dude, I can't, they're gone. Like they're going to keep going, and I'm going to have to stay right here. And I'm like, I cannot, like my body is shut down. And I mean, I don't know if I could, my body literally broke down. I don't know if it's me being soft in that situation, or if but the other side of the coin
No,
is
that's
that
dehydration.
it is dehydration. But I did keep going.
Yeah.
Well, that's why you weren't soft. If you would have just fell down on the ground.
But that's what I'm saying. But I did have the ability to keep going, so I probably should, like, logically, I should have kept going. Because I mean, if you guys weren't out there, it really doesn't even matter if you are out there. Because if I really do pass out from dehydration, I'm screwed. So regardless, you kind of just should keep going.
But I remember we eventually caught back up with you. We came back to check on you and see where you're at, and you were saying something like your heart. You could not get your heart under control. Your heart was beating out of control,
Oh,
and you were going to pass out.
yes.
So I think you had to sit down, or you're going to pass out.
Yeah,
I remember feeling that way though as well.
Yes, that's what it was. Like my heart was like ramping up to like a crazy, like it was beating at like a crazy speed, and to the point where it's like I felt like pushing myself would have been detrimental. That's why I sat down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember I put my
dehydration,
shirt.
man.
I had to like put my shirt like a girl would do and like wrap it up around my chest just so I could try to cool off somehow because it was so humid.
Mhm.
We were just drenched in sweat.
I know that must have been the end of 2019 though, because I changed my diet massively at the beginning of 2020, and a couple of things propelled me for sure, and one of them was COVID and free time, and another one was breaking up with somebody I was in a relationship, and another one probably that propelled it from the beginning was seeing you guys in this image where you guys were eating very healthy at the time, and I knew you were eating healthy. We were talking about how you were eating healthy on the drive up there and things like that.
Mhm.
And I myself was not. And here I am breaking down. My body is truly breaking down because I'm not prepared. Something can always happen in the world where you have to exist in that sort of world, or regardless, it doesn't really matter. You should be physically able enough to exist in that world. And my body broke down. So the issue isn't so much in being soft in the moment, but in preparation.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say, I mean, probably that's why I was able to at least push through it, was because I'd been just constantly, that was probably the best time of my life as far as like diet and working out and things like that. So I was gassed for sure, but I was able to still keep going. Partly because my body wasn't completely shut down yet, but also because I genuinely thought that if Jamie passes out and Jimmy gets left behind, I have to go get help, because it was a life or death situation for me. Because I genuinely thought, like, okay, we're a couple hours in with no water, sweating profusely. Jamie's heart's beating out of control. Jimmy is in bad shape too. Somebody's gonna have to stay with Jamie. I'm just gonna have to go get help. Like, it's gonna have to be me.
Yeah.
So I mean, that put me in a
real.
killer state of mind where I was just like, it's all on me, so I have to go.
It was that moment on the hill that was the worst though, because once we got over that, I feel like somehow you found out that the road was kind of close, and we were like, okay, we gotta fucking do this.
Yeah,
We're
For
just gonna
sure.
do this.
For sure.
So then
And I
we
feel like-
went off trail.
Yeah.
Even
Yeah.
we cut down through the hills. You remember
we
that?
did.
Because I think we
Yeah, dude,
heard
now I
cars.
forgot
We
about
heard
that.
cars, and we're like, dude,
Yes.
let's just cut through the woods.
Yes.
Yeah.
Risky move, but we did it.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah, and I remember like going down this like windy back trail area, and then finally getting to the road, and just walking up the road.
Get to the
And then-
road, get to the car.
And then we get to a point where we just know where we're at. Like we finally know where we're at. And we're
Yeah.
just like, dang.
Yeah.
But even still, when we get to the car, it's not like everything's not sweet. Even when we get to the car,
It was
Nope.
pretty sweet at first though.
It was sweet.
That feeling that we
Oh,
were at
for
the
sure.
car was like,
It was
wow.
sweet.
For sure.
We didn't have any water in the car
That's
though.
the issue. Yeah,
There
that
was no
the
water
issue.
in the car.
Well, I remember it was great. I even like jogged to the car like an idiot.
For sure.
And then I sat down by the car, and that's when I was like, oh shit, we have to get like something now, like salt or Gatorade.
And then we
And then
started driving, and we damn near just like driving back into the where we came from. We somehow go down a back road.
It was a road made of sand.
Yeah, we damn near went so far down that road that's probably the road that they took to do the construction.
Yeah.
We probably really were close to where they were doing the construction.
So I was, I mean, completely delirious.
Yeah.
I didn't know, like, so nobody pulled their phones out. We were just like,
No.
all right, let's just get out of here.
Yeah.
Let's go. We got in the car. I took a turn immediately, and it turned into like a sand construction road.
Yeah.
And I have a front wheel drive vehicle
we got stuck in the mud at the
that we got
reservoir.
stuck in. Yeah. I mean,
The
hardly
reservoir.
anything. Hardly anything. Dude, and we went down the sand road. Nobody's saying anything for probably 5-10 minutes. So and we're just on the sand
Yeah.
road, and then finally Jamie says, "I think we're going the wrong way."
Because I was dying back there. I was like, man, I don't know how much longer we can take this. If we're going the wrong way, I'm gonna be screwed.
So miraculously, my 2-wheel drive car turns around in the sand.
Yeah.
And we go about 90 miles an hour to the gas station.
Yeah,
that
I feel like
saw.
we were instantly at a gas station once we turned
Yeah,
around.
dude, we
somehow.
turn we turn around. We go down that back road. I'm about to get motion sickness and every other type of sickness. And then, oh my goodness.
You guys
Dude.
remember the gas station itself?
Yeah, I
That
remember
was like a
I remember
memory for
every
me,
yeah,
yeah,
I remember
sure.
everything about that. There's
Yeah.
so much. That's pure joy, dude.
It
was
was like
beautiful.
these huge truck driving men that were way overweight, like walking in slow motion. Like they're like what's that Pink Floyd thing where there's like huge massive elephants walking around in like slow motion? And it's Dali, Salvador Dali.
You talking about the song? What
There's a
is it?
song that's got anyways, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
But these giant men are like walking around in slow motion, picking up like fried chicken baskets. I think we just like went straight for the Powerade Gatorade.
I went
Yes,
straight for just the
exactly.
fountain water and just
Yes.
got a cup of water and just
Sat
stood there
on
and
the
drank it. I could barely
sidewalk.
walk, dude. When I got out of the
Oh,
car, I
no,
could
yes.
barely walk.
Oh,
My entire both of my feet, it was like one giant
Yes,
blister. My feet were
yes.
bleeding. My knees hurt so bad. My hips hurt.
Yeah.
My back
It's
hurt.
like my whole body was cramping.
Cramping.
like, oh.
And we just sat on the curb at the gas
Yeah,
station and
like
chugged
defeated,
water.
but
No, they had
so
a
victorious.
picnic table out there. We sat on like this little
Oh,
picnic
yeah.
table in front of it.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, chugged Gatorade. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. I remember when I was checking out, the guy, he was like, "Man, you guys look like shit."
Yeah.
And
I mean,
was like,
I went in there with my socks on. Like no shoes, just socks. Sliding around
I
on the
didn't know he
floor,
said that too. That's
shuffling
pretty funny.
around.
Yeah.
Just can't lift up my
he
legs.
goes, you guys look like shit. I was like, "Yeah, we didn't bring enough water." And he goes like, he just kind of laughs at me. It's like, it's not good.
Dude, that gas station was such a blessing, though. It was like
It was a blessing.
there was like nothing else out there.
You know, it was the most blessing though. Was
What?
the dang barbecue restaurant.
Barbecue that we stopped
That was literally
on the way back.
heaven,
Yeah.
man.
Oh
We
my.
were sitting there. Nobody else was in there. This music was just like lightly playing, and we were just like,
Wait,
Wow.
back in
wait.
civilization.
Oh.
Because we stopped in Grand Rapids.
Oh. No. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
we all had like
Light
scrappy
music, though. What are
clothes
you
on.
talking about? Light music?
I just remember I was sitting there at the table. There's like hardly anybody else in the restaurant. We ordered beers.
I feel like
and
there was
like
I do
music
remember, but I feel
on,
like
but
there
it was
quite a
very
few people
light.
there.
There was nice like acoustics. Like the bass
Yes.
was pretty pleasant, and I was just like,
Yeah, the food we got was
thank
incredible.
God, man.
Yeah.
Thank God we're here.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, pure joy. Pure joy.
Pure joy, pure celebration, pure gratitude for the gas station.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dang, man. I forgot about that. I forgot that means that same later that day, after all of that, we went to that barbecue restaurant.
Yeah.
Dude, pure joy. Nothing that is perspective.
The most joy maybe I've.
Joy from perspective.
That was one of the highest joy moments of my life. I think.
That
Just, like,
barbecue
thankful.
restaurant.
Just like wow, because I had come down. You were fine. Matt was just. He was probably fine all the time, but it was just like
And my moment of pure joy was literally just going up to the water fountain and getting the first sip of water. It's pure joy. I felt like I wanted to cry almost.
yeah.
No, it's not an exaggeration.
It was
It really,
dramatic, man.
it really is. It's
Thankful that my friends are still here and I didn't have to trek solo and go track down a car. And
I remember you called Kate too, and what's funny is like she has no clue what just happened, but you're like, yeah, hey, we're stopping to get barbecue.
yeah.
Like,
I actually
no
remember
big
that
deal.
conversation after that barbecue as well.
yeah, I remember when I first called her, she was like, "What's going on?" Because we were supposed to
we
be out
came
there for
home
another
early.
night. Yeah, we were supposed to be out there
I
for
feel like
another
we do
night.
that almost every time.
It's part of the fun.
We didn't though. In Red River Gorge, we stuck it out. You remember that?
Yeah. The Smoky Mountains.
We
had to
usually
get
we
out of
stay at
there.
least one night. We always stay
It's
at
too
least
cold.
one night.
Yeah.
Just never two.
No, we stayed 2 in Red River Gorge.
Yeah. Yeah, Red River Gorge is one of the coolest places I've been.
Yeah, I would go back there.
That scenery. Do you guys remember the scenery where we this is like on the back end of the loop that we did, and there was like these individual like massive rolling hills, and we got up to a like a clearing where there'd been like
The burnt trees.
burnt
Yeah.
trees or a storm or something, and we looked out, and all you can see are like these massive plateaus
Yeah.
of the gorge and other hills, and bald eagles just soaring.
Yeah, that was beautiful.
Yeah, that was a good trip.
It was.
Was that the trip that we froze the first night?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Froze the second night too. I personally thought, but it was better than the first night, I guess. That was the night Jamie like got up to pee in the middle of the night, and we're like, "Oh, dude, that's terrible, terrible move."
I'm trying to think of how that Michigan trip ended though. What did we do after we just drove back after the barbecue restaurant?
Yeah, we drove back. I think we drove because we left from my apartment in Carmel.
Yeah, it was in Carmel. Yeah. Then we just went home to our apartments.
From Grand Rapids back to the apartments.
Yeah.
Part of the joy, part of what makes the actual food that you're eating there so incredible is that there's context, there's perspective. Because when we were in where we were at in Michigan, you're like while you're in it, you're like, damn, I am so thirsty. Like literally while you're in it, like, damn, dude, I cannot wait for the next drink of water. Oh man, ribs would be so good right now. Like that kind of stuff starts to go through your mind,
Mm-hmm.
and you block it out because you're like, damn, I got to block that out because I've just got to put my foot in front of the other.
Yeah.
I've got to keep walking or I'm screwed. I got to keep walking, I'm screwed. But that still exists in the back of your mind, and it keeps growing.
Mm-hmm.
That desire keeps growing, and it's like, again, you keep pushing it down because you've got a mission, but then you keep pushing the reward down long enough, and then you finally get to the actual reward. And something as simple as Powerade and water from a gas station is like pure gold.
It's a delayed gratification. is what it
Exactly.
is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Delayed gratification. Exactly. That is 2022.
Dopamine detoxing.
Delayed gratification.
Yeah. That's
If
a
I
good
look
point.
back at 2022 and I'm like, oh man, I delayed gratification constantly. I'm great.
You'll be happy.
Yeah, I guarantee it'll be an incredibly successful year if I did that.
Yeah, that's a valuable thing to do in your life that's part of what makes trips like that valuable is that you're forced to do it. You have to do it because there's no other option. It's either you pack the food that you packed is all the food that you have. You have water, you have to conserve it. So you have all these wants and desires while you're out there. Like, God, we have to sleep outside again tonight. Like, damn, it's gonna be kind of cold. I don't know how long we can keep this fire going. Like, God, it'd be
I'm really
nice to have my
hungry. I'd
bed.
like to just eat all this
Yes.
beef jerky
It'd be nice to
tonight.
have my
but I
bed.
can't.
But if you can, I wonder what is the best way then to transport that into like your daily life.
Only buy the things you need at the grocery store.
That's a
That's
good
good.
answer.
Only
Only buy the things you need.
I like something after we did our last get together podcast thing. It really like hit me because I went back and listened to it and I was just like, Jimmy, come on, man, what the fuck are you doing?
You talking about like the softness part?
Well, I did it one with him too in the morning, and
okay.
I was like talking about how I'd not do anything in the morning or the evening. It's like, why am I not doing that? You know?
Yeah.
So after we got together last time, since then I've been getting up in the morning to work out, like you were saying you were doing, which is such an easy way to just make more time for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And then I like went and wrote down like my actual like every half an hour what I'm going to be doing, and then goals. So
That makes sense though too. Like Jamie, how you were saying, like you had no time really to give any thought to those desires because all you had to do is put one foot in front of the other because that's what you had to do that. And then so what if you schedule your day that way, and it's all personal accountability, and it's all how much you value your own word, and you say that, or you do the things that you say you're going to do. So like you regiment every 30 minutes, but nothing is making you do that. It's not a matter of survival. It's not a matter of getting out of the woods. It's just like you set these goals for yourself. You have to find a way to be in that same mindset of literally all I have to do is put
Yes.
one foot in front of the other
Yes.
and
But I
accomplish
do
these
have
things.
to. But I do.
I have to
to.
follow
do
this,
have to.
this way that I'm setting for myself. And it ultimately is back to the picture. Is that at the core of myself, I know that I can be something that's greater than just mundane and pointless.
I think
and
the,
so to set. Go ahead.
well, no, I was just going to say, I think the way to do that is to, if you want to get to a point where you understand, if you're very motivated for something and disciplined to do something, well, figure out why are you doing it? Why is it important? Why are you doing it? Because if you're talking about like waking up early in the morning, there's a side of you that's like, no, I don't really have to wake up early in the morning.
Mhm.
Key is that side of you might be right, could be right. So why do you have to wake up early in the morning to work out? Because you could just do it later in the day. So why not just do it later in the day?
Yeah.
But the reality is, because if you take the line of thinking long enough, the reality is you probably get to a point where you're like, dang, if I don't work out early in the morning, I'm going to become increasingly unhealthy to a point that I feel like absolute hell every day. And I start to go down a point of depression and despair and also anxiety. And I need something to get through. And it's going to be junk food and sugar, and also eventually pharmaceuticals and antidepressants and things like that.
Yeah.
And that's going to get to a point where I'm reliant on things like that, and I still don't work out. And I get, you know what I'm saying? It gets to a point where it goes to hell. Your whole life goes to hell. So the reason why I need to work out in the morning right now is because if I don't work out in the morning at 5:30, my life will be to hell. So those are my options: either work out at 5:30 or go to hell.
Well, another, like, there's the one end of why I decided I need to get up in the morning. One is because in the evenings,
Go to hell.
then I have a huge space of time where I can play music. So that's one side of things. That's what
Yeah.
I need to have time to do that. The other side of things that I heard Jocko Willink say this week is that if you get up in the morning and the first thing you do is just wake up and get out of bed, like that's like pretty much
actually
the
a
hardest
really good
thing
point,
that you
man.
have to do the whole
Do
day.
not look at
Yeah.
your phone in
Get
the morning.
out of your
Do
bed,
not look at your phone in
and
the morning.
then so
It's a
then you
catastrophe.
won the hardest battle right
It's
away.
yeah.
So now
it's
all
the
the
most tragic
next
thing that
the
exists.
battles after that will be cake.
Yeah.
So you're
Eating
saying
a
like,
coming in contact with a Kit Kat bar, you'll say, "Oh, fuck."
yeah, screw you. I woke up.
Yeah, exactly. I woke up.
Yeah.
I'm awake, man.
I don't know.
Yeah.
That really, like,
No, I
I was
agree with
doing
that.
it
Like,
because of the ladder, because of the music thing. I was like, man, I do need more time to do that because
Yeah.
I'm only spending X hours doing it
Yeah.
when I could be spending way more if I just do it every day after work.
Yeah.
But then he said that, and it's like, that's just a great point too.
Yeah.
you know?
like that is the goal. The goal, your first goal is to wake up. Just wake up.
Get your
Man,
ass out of bed. It's hard to do, man,
Accomplish
because
it.
I want to just lay there.
Dude,
Well, get out of bed. That's key. Wake up. Do not look at your phone. I mean, I'd look at my phone, man.
But if
That's hard,
if
I
looking
know.
at your phone though gets you up, is that a bad thing?
Yes.
yeah.
Why?
I'll die.
Just
That's
get
a
up,
hill
man.
I'll die on, and I myself look at my phone. Exactly.
If you
Just
don't
get
look
up,
at your
man.
phone
Go
and
to
you
bed.
go back to sleep though, is looking at your phone a good thing?
No, man, you just get up. That's
No,
it. You don't need the phone.
It's poison, man. You're starting your day off with poison. What are you looking at? I guarantee you're not reading a book.
Well, I'm just saying, looking at your phone in general, being on the light.
I know, but what are you looking at?
What if you just turn your thing on and it's just the apps? It's just a source of light for your eyes. Like, oh, okay, wow. I'm like,
I mean, don't get on Twitter.
I know that's what I'm saying. That's where it's going to go.
Don't.
Twitter,
Instagram.
Instagram.
I mean,
So-
that's what I
I'll get
do
on
that.
Instagram.
I get on Twitter sometimes. I'll get on Coinbase too and check Coinbase immediately.
yeah, I always look at
That's a
my
bad
number
habit,
on
man.
there, and it's like it hasn't changed, Jimmy.
That's a
Like,
bad
you don't need to
bad
look at that.
habit
Coinbase, or
for
both?
me. Well, I mean, Twitter's a bad habit. I check Twitter a lot. But Coinbase too. I mean,
Twitter's
that
such a
one is
common
so
thing, but you say it so
unnecessary.
shamefully.
It's
God,
it's
I
so
check Twitter a lot.
unnecessary, man. I check it 10 times a day.
Twitter?
Coinbase.
Oh, okay. Check your funds.
Yeah, it's not even like I'm doing any active trading or anything. It's like, oh,
The
fuck, I
thing
gotta look at
is-
it. I gotta fucking make sure it fucking didn't.
Yeah, you
Lose it
like,
all,
there's
fuck.
a reason why you probably do that is because if it does go up tremendously and you made $1 million, you don't
That's
want to lose it. But the chances of
that's
that,
not. It's not going to go down that quickly. You're going to read news articles. if it
no,
goes up to
that's
$1
I
million.
get. I mean, I guarantee that's why you can get an addiction like that, is because you think. I think
That's not
I
real.
do this too. Is that maybe it went up like $1,000. I need to pull my money or something like
Yeah.
that. It's like gambling. It's crazy.
For sure.
That's why you just need to have. You just need to.
You need to have a
To have the
long-term things
philosophy.
that you
Well,
think
yeah.
are going to do well in the long run, and then not worry about it.
Exactly, and that's what I have, but I still do it. I still
I know.
check it. It's just dumb. It's just a
Stupid.
dumb habit. I need to.
Keaton, do you
I
do
need
that?
to dispel all my bad habits.
Do you have
that.
Coinbase?
Yeah. I used to
Dispel
have-
my bad habits. I like that, man.
Yeah.
I do like that. 2022, dispel my bad habits. Sorry to cut you off.
What
Yeah,
else do you
Coinbase.
have, Keegan?
Yeah, I used to have a lot of Ethereum.
Yeah.
And then I lost a lot of money on NFTs.
You still have the NFTs?
That's brutal.
Yeah, but
You can't get rid of them, can you?
I could, but it'd be a significant loss.
Significant loss.
What are they?
I bought a Halloween mummy and a koala, and then I bought one of the first NFTs on Ethereum blockchain.
You might hold on to that.
Which one was
huh?
that?
Curio cards. Curio
Okay.
cards. It was 2017, so it was the first
Whoa.
dated. So, but I bought it at because it went to an auction house. And I bought it right when the news came out, and then
Yeah.
after that it went down. So I used all my Ethereum on those.
Dude, you were extremely early then.
No,
I
you
didn't.
didn't.
I
No,
didn't.
I bought it.
2017.
I bought it
Oh.
probably July last year.
Oh, it
So-
just came out in 2017. Is that what you're
Yeah,
saying?
but I bought it right
Okay.
when I heard it was being auctioned off.
Okay.
And if I would have held the Ethereum, I'd be in a much better place.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, that was
I lost a lot of money trading on. This is stupid. Because it was so I downloaded a MetaMask. I had a MetaMask.
yeah.
And I guess I didn't really understand at the time the significance of gas fees. And I wasn't, keep in mind, I'm not trading a huge amount of Ethereum either. It's not,
Mhm.
I mean, nothing over probably $2,000
Yeah.
at a time. And I was just getting railed on gas fees.
Yeah.
That's why I don't want to sell those ones, because it's okay, now it's worth $700, but it's going to be $120 in gas fees.
Yeah.
What are gas fees?
It's like a
It-
transaction
Yeah,
fee.
it's the cost of doing the transaction, but it's different based on how many transactions are being done right now on the blockchain.
So it's like a variable fee.
Every
Yeah.
transaction has to be verified. And is it the same with Ethereum as it is Bitcoin, where a certain algorithm has to be run through somebody's computer?
It's Bitcoin is proof of work. Right.
How's Ethereum
Is that right?
work then?
Proof of stake.
Proof of
Proof
stake.
of stake. Yeah. So, and I've never really used the Bitcoin blockchain. I've only ever bought and sold it. I don't really know how many other uses there are for it. I'm sure there's a lot, but I just don't know. But Ethereum is more functional the Ethereum blockchain has so many things built on it.
Yeah.
That you can use your Ethereum to get into other projects and to purchase
Right.
other projects. But then to get, say I take my Ethereum and buy coin X, there's a gas fee to make that transaction.
To switch that coin to the other coin.
Switch that coin to the other coin.
And
there's a
something
gas
I
fee.
just got stuck on was I bought crypto.com on Coinbase. And I didn't realize that not only is there an Ethereum chain with crypto.com, but there's a Kronos chain with crypto.com. And then crypto.com also has their chain.
Okay.
And you can't. So I transferred my Ethereum based crypto.com to my crypto.com wallet,
Okay.
thinking that I could use that to stake the money.
Yeah.
None of this probably makes sense if you don't. Does this make sense what I'm
Yeah, I
saying?
mean it makes.
So I'm
general
going to
sense.
stake the fund so that I can get a APY per year return,
A return. Yeah.
because I'm staking liquidity. So I took this
Okay.
money out of the Coinbase from Ethereum to my crypto.com wallet.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you can only stake crypto.com coins that are on the crypto.com chain for the thing. So I just have this stagnant, I think it's $300
Yeah.
sitting there that I can't even transfer back because I didn't realize any of this was the thing. And so I don't want to pay $200 of Ethereum to get my $300 of
exactly. So
this
then
back,
you'd
so-
have to buy Ethereum and then go deposit Ethereum onto
Yeah.
your crypto.com.
And so it's like
and-
now
yeah.
I'm just gonna leave it there and like hopefully it goes up because I'm not gonna spend $200 gas fees to get $300 of.
So you'd basically walk
Coins.
away with $100. You'd get $100.
If I wanted to transfer it back to my Coinbase wallet, which is on the Ethereum, the coins are on the Ethereum chain. And so that's why he was talking about last time the Chainlink project, which will be able to link all these networks together so that you won't have these crazy gas fees.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah.
that's why
That
that's
makes
valuable, and that's why that probably has a
CCIP.
good future.
sense.
It's coming this year.
Yeah.
2022 is going to be a huge
2022.
year for Chainlink.
And then also
Coming
the
this year.
Ethereum point
2.0,
2.0 will
yeah.
also be something like that. So a lot of good things are like in the works, but right now it's just
Developing,
like
yeah. It'll
sucky.
get better and better.
I
But-
totally agree though about the Coinbase. When I had all my Ethereum on there, like I would wake up sometimes, go to the bathroom, and be like, "Let me just check it." And it's not like it would go up a significant amount, but for some reason, that's what I don't know what it is about it, but I would also do that.
it's like it's like gambling.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like
You're
it's like an anxiety, or it's also like I feel like it's hopefulness too. Like
Yeah,
when I
It's
wake
like-
up in the morning,
yeah.
it's like, oh God, like please let's see a big fucking 10x. Let's go. What happened overnight?
Well,
but
and
it's
then like
also so volatile that like I have seen it. Like I'll just be watching the chart and like Ethereum will crash $700.
Mhm.
You're like, okay, well, like how did this happen? So sometimes you're like, oh, did it crash? Did it go up?
just like the past week, it went down. Most of my stuff went down like 20%, which is like damn.
Chainlink is
that's a
up
lot.
like 12, a good amount. So the significant thing about Chainlink performing well right now in the large scale downturn is that there so many coins are just coupled to Bitcoin performance, so they all follow Bitcoin.
Yep.
So this is like we're seeing a decoupling between Bitcoin and Chainlink, where Chainlink is now being established as its own entity and its own project and has value beyond the value of Bitcoin as the market indicator. So a lot of people are getting extremely excited about Chainlink staking and the CCIP cross-chain interoperability protocol that's coming out on Chainlink, and that's the project that's aiming to link everything together.
So Chainlink is not a cryptocurrency, but
No.
Chainlink is a kind of like crypto.com.
No. Chainlink is they're called oracles. So it's basically a shuttle in between. It can be blockchain to blockchain or real world data to blockchain. So it's extremely hard to code in real world data into the blockchain, say the price of Ethereum. So Chainlink can take the price of Ethereum and shuttle it onto the blockchain to give an accurate reading of the Ethereum price, which all trades are based on. So essentially, the Chainlink node running that information is incentivized to give truthful data to the blockchain that it's servicing. So there's an incentive for truth because it's a monetary incentive that you get a price for every. So the Ethereum service that's using Chainlink is paying Chainlink for this accurate information. So in theory, this could be spread to all sectors. It's a truth protocol, essentially.
A truth protocol.
A truth protocol with incentive towards truth.
What is it? Truthing? I think I missed that part.
Just
Yeah,
data, accurate data.
Of what?
Of
Like transactional data?
anything. It could be it could be it could be
Proof of-
transactional data. It could be the price of gold. It could be scores of an NBA game. It could be weather. It could be
Interesting.
amount of pollutants
So
in a
you're
river.
saying that's what Chainlink is doing.
Yeah. So Chainlink is
Interesting.
an example. I think I probably used this last time too. So there's a big push for like green finance. It's a
Green finance.
UN agenda. Green finance. It's tying in environmental markers into financial incentives for companies. So it's all based on a smart contract where, say, you can only pollute the river for 10 parts per cubic meter, whatever metric you want to say. You can only pollute the river so much. That's
Yeah,
in
for
the
sure.
contract, right?
Yeah.
So Chainlink is going to be sourcing the data from the river and saying, okay, you've polluted the river this much, run it through the smart contract, and then on the other end of that contract is a financial incentive. Say it's like a loan reduction. If you can
Gotcha.
keep your pollution under this parts per million, then your loans are forgiven or your interest rate goes down to this. If you don't,
Gotcha.
and if the sensors read this much, then Chainlink is gonna provide truthful information through this smart contract. And if you breach the smart contract, then there's consequences to it.
So how's Chainlink getting all this truth though? I guess that's what I'm confused about. How are they? I know they're verifying
feeding
truth, but
them
how are they
data?
getting the
Yeah.
truth?
So they're run by nodes. There's Chainlink nodes running them.
Okay.
Which means a individual computer somewhere.
It's individual. It's like an individual business essentially. It's an individual
So,
business.
In that situation where somebody is polluting the river, how does Chainlink figure out what the company is actually polluting the river,
So-
what rate they're polluting it at?
So it'd probably be like a special, special company where they contract in Chainlink to service the smart contract. So there's going to be, just new sectors of business popping up around these things.
Who holds that business accountable too?
Who
Well,
holds the
that's-
business
well, that's
collecting
like
the
the-
data?
Well, because
Well, the
we're almost
contract
coming
holds
back
it
full
collective.
circle to what we were talking about earlier with
Mhm.
what you're talking about is that if these businesses are in line with the Chinese Communist Party
Yeah,
and they say, hey, here's the data, they're really messing up the river, so let's find them.
yeah,
Even if they're not damaging the river, they just don't align with the political party.
right.
Who's controlling that? Or how is that decentralized?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
I think at the end, so it's skewed towards financial incentive for the nodes to produce accurate information, because the nodes are like they're community checked. It's based on consensus, so it's not just one person saying, "Well, here's the data, and this is the correct data." There's various people looking into the data, all having financial incentives to produce the correct data. So it's not just one person saying this is the truth.
If they have if they have financial incentives to produce
That's what
the
Chainlink
data,
is. They've got a wise man at the top.
who's
and he just
checking
says,
them to make
yes,
sure
this
that
is true.
hey, this data is right? Or could they just say, hey, this data is right,
Yeah,
give me my money?
that's a good question. I'll
Yeah.
have to read more into it. There's a lot to read. You can check out the white paper, Chainlink 2.0. It's a decent white paper.
It is for sure a pathway that we're going to go. Smart contracts and NFTs and things like that. It's going to open up a whole. You can have the title of a house with things like that. It's
Yeah.
it's very interesting, and you can make a lot of money off of it if you are. I don't even know the beginnings. I just know the essence of what it is, and through that you kind of see what it could be. But it could be like its potential is. You'd have to think about it for hours and hours to begin to comprehend what its potential would be. With like NFTs
sure.
and smart contracts and things like that.
Yeah.
Are smart contracts different from NFTs? Or is
Yeah.
it essentially the same thing?
They
A
were
smart
built
contract
because of
is an
NFTs.
A smart contract is an NFT.
No, NFTs run on smart contracts.
Okay.
That's why Ethereum's so popular for NFTs.
Yeah,
just 'cause of
Ethereum
smart
came up
con-
with the smart contract, I think.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And that's why so many of these new
So
like,
for example,
meta-
like if
what you
you
would
were
call
to sell a
metaverse.
book and it was like 100 copies, and then you're like, okay, every transaction there is, I get 10% of it, 10% of the total transaction. Then the smart contract's the one enforcing that and making sure that the money
Yeah, it's
goes
like-
to
it's like
certain
an
places. They're
algorithm
getting
that-
rights to certain things.
for sure. Yeah, not to get too deep in this because we already talked about it quite a bit, but Tory Lanez made an album on it as an NFT and sold 1 million of them, sold 1 million individual copies, and that's a pretty crazy idea because I watched it happen and he released it, and I'm pretty sure there's a video of it, and they pretty much all get sold like right away. Like he sells 1 million copies like right away. and it's because I mean, if you think about it, he sold them all for $1, and so like in the video he's talking about, he's like, well, I'm really happy because those people just made a bunch of money because they just made a massive investment. And he might be right. There's a limited supply of it, and so if they become worth $2, if somebody bought 10,000 of them, they just made $10,000 profit.
True.
That's pretty. I mean, that's like just the. I mean, that's a Tory Lanez album. That's just beginning, but that is just.
That's crazy.
Just
I didn't even
beginning.
know that.
But what's even crazier is how hard it is to sell 1 million copies of an album, and then he did it that quickly.
I know.
Well,
Do you
it
think people
helps-
wanted to buy it for the novelty of like was it the very first album sold as an NFT?
Probably not, but I think it was just NFT. It was like when the last, I don't know, it was probably 4, 5, 6 months ago when NFTs were like at the peak. So I think at that time people were just kind of buying anything, and like all the influencers were pushing them and stuff. So it's like, if you're a follower and you're like, okay, I have $100, let me buy 100 of them because NFTs are going 1,000x. I think it was kind of that. That was probably the main aspect of it.
Yeah.
I think the only NFTs that are really selling are NFTs with a name behind them. You know what I mean? A previous following or something.
Like a person name behind them.
Yeah.
Because I put out a set of NFTs.
Did you?
Yeah.
Ooh,
About a month ago. And it's
Really?
like a collection of little stupid meditative like digital paintings I made.
Nice.
where'd you put them up at? Did you put them on OpenSea?
OpenSea.
What are they
How do
called?
It costs $300 to put them on there.
Do you
Crazy.
how do
Really?
you mint them? How do you go about the process of minting an NFT?
You just do it on OpenSea. You just type in your information that you want on the NFT. Do you want any like special thing to come with it if somebody purchases it? Which I couldn't think of what I would even want that to be right now with this
Copy
project.
of your album?
Well, so like I guess I could show it to you what it is. But
Yeah, I got
like
them. I got
was-
them pulled up right here.
The James Crumley things.
Yeah. Well, these ones, I don't know if these are just ones you own. Did you?
No,
call
I
it
made all those.
these
Those are-
ones.
I made those on my iPad. Yeah, collagraphs. Because it's like calligraphy.
I mean, these are like.
There's a motion one on there where it
and
like
you're
repeats.
selling them for $750 though.
Oh yeah,
But if you think about it, like that would be the way to release art.
yeah, yeah. I just did it to see what would happen.
These are really good.
You should buy one.
I might.
Yeah, they're like abstract.
Did you show him the one with the animation? Because I feel like if I was gonna continue to do
I don't.
that,
Which one was it?
it's like the
Oh, this
live
one?
edition.
Yeah.
It's just like an animation of one of the images.
You made that?
Yeah. So what I had to go through and like each frame, I had to draw a different picture.
Wow.
That's
what I mean?
crazy.
So I think it was like
And you're selling that one for $4,000.
for sure.
Let's go.
I mean, it took me a month to do it.
I know, but like that's like you can tell that's like worth
Yeah.
the money because
And there's something about too people that if you just put an expensive price on there, people are like, "Oh,
Yeah,
well,
like
that's
that's
valuable.
exclusive.
No, I gotta get that."
That's cool, man.
Yeah.
That's all really well done too.
Well, my plan is to continue to release like a set with a different vibe to it,
Mm-hmm.
and have 25 of them. Have like a set program for it.
That's
And
awesome.
it's just stupid, but it was just like a meditative thing where I wasn't thinking about anything when I was doing it, just like drawing shapes.
I like how they all have the ball.
Were
in
you able
them.
to pull it up?
I was gonna look at it here after we wrap up. Let's give a shout out to it. What's it called?
I think it's James Crumley art.
Nice.
No, it's
Or
just
Calligraph.
James Crumbly.
Calligraph
James
is the
Crumley.
collection though.
Yeah.
CALLIGRAF.
Oh, that's what I was. The name of the art's called
Cal-
Polygraph.
Calligraph, like
Calligraph.
calligraphy, but a graph, so it's like technological.
Calligraph.
Nice.
That's the only thought
Nice.
to it.
How
Have
long
you
did this
sold
whole
any?
collection take you?
I don't know.
I mean,
One.
it's 27 pieces. I feel like that would take a long time.
I did one. Each drawing I did like 1 or 2 per day, and then that animation took like a couple weeks. It was pretty tedious, like drawing the same picture over and over and over and over.
They're all different though.
No, the animation.
Oh,
so
you're
for
talking
it
about
to
the animation.
move, I have to make a frame of nothing,
Yeah.
and then another frame of nothing, and then a frame of a tiny black dot.
How
and
many
another
frames?
Frame. I don't know. I could pull it up on my iPad if
Okay.
you want me to. I can show it to you after this.
Yeah, we can check. I want to check it out.
I feel like the main people who are, I feel like the NFTs that are being bought like crazy are from a few of the original. It doesn't really matter what it is, like how it looks, but it's from like one of,
Yeah.
like there's some
It's
original
like a
people who are doing
artifact.
it. Yes, exactly. It's like one of the paintings.
Which I get that. I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, there are just huge followings behind certain ones, like the
monkeys?
Bored Ape
yeah,
Yacht Club,
Bored
Yeah.
Apes, yeah.
and then I see a lot of fly frogs,
Women of the world.
The CryptoPunks.
Yeah,
CryptoPunks, yeah, Meta
Which,
Heroes.
At first, I thought those were so stupid, but I realized that they restricted themselves to only 24 by 24 pixels, which is like an original bit with the computer.
Okay.
So it is like, it makes sense why they did that, and then it's all generated by artificial intelligence too. So they programmed in like, here's the limitations of what colors can be used. Here's the limitations of the skin
nice.
color, the shirt color, the hairstyle,
Really?
blah blah blah. Here I just said blah 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 again. I just said that, etc. And then they let the computer generate 100 copies that were different figures. So basically, a computer made these paintings, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, that's really cool.
But that's the other thing though too, is that like you can buy one of those, but if the community stops, like if the interest in it stops, then you're left holding
For sure.
a huge investment with nobody wanting to buy it.
Yeah, it's nothing. There's literally no. I mean, there's the values of much as you like to look at it. That's the only value at that point.
Yeah.
It's just like real life art. You know what I mean?
For sure.
If it's got a
Some of it will be
following,
very
if it's
valuable
got
long-term,
respect, it's going to
probably.
be valuable. If not, then
Yes.
I mean, there's beautiful computer art paintings that people have done that aren't worth anything. You know what I mean?
For sure. All right, let's wrap this up. Does anyone have anything to add?
I don't think so. Until next time.
I'll go look at those these paintings that you yourself made.
Well, what was what did I say? Dispel the bad habits.
Yeah.
Dispel.
Discipline.
Now it's time to dispel the bad habits.
Dispel the bad habits.
2021.
Yes. Dispel your bad habits. I like that. All right. Dispel your bad habits. 2022. Dispel your bad habits. Thank you.